then I'll spotlight you and go to Facebook Live.
Okay.
Let anyone in.
Amina, okay.
The moment you see Facebook Live, then you can become the host. So there you are. I'm spotlighting you and I'm going to Facebook Live.
Hi, Mina. Welcome. Welcome, Sunny.
Oh, hello. I just unmuted myself. How are you?
Very well. I'm just letting everyone in as Mynoo's setting up right now.
Good. Sit up
And-
straight. What's up with your leaning over?
Let me just, I think we're live, so don't. Okay. I know. You're so cute. I love you.
There we go. That's better.
Okay.
You look lovely, and your doggy's in the background, muted or, fuzzed out or whatever it's called.
Welcome, everyone. Mynoo is just setting up in the back, and we'll be getting started any minute now. So welcome. It's going to be an exciting call today. Really. Yay. Wow. Welcome, everybody. We'll be starting in a couple minutes here. Hey, I think we're live now. Mynoo is back online. I see her. All right, welcome, everyone. This is the Human Miracle, number 37 of 52 in the series that Mynoo's been doing. And we are focusing tonight on the kidneys. Mynoo's going to share what makes our kidneys an important building block of the human miracle. And she's going to focus on 4 pillars tonight. Specifically, what impacts their depletion, their destruction, and what facilitates their resurgence and restoration. So how can we get our kidneys to work for us and really work for us and be, get our systems fully activated? All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Mynoo.
Thank you, Dea. So Dea, remember you're like a representation of the archetype of humans. So if there are any questions that emerge for you, there'll be questions that will also be there for others. And we do this. And today, after a while, I've been guided to go on Facebook Live. So I'm doing so. So your questions and your observations would be very, very welcome. If anybody has any other points or questions, put them in the chat. And Dea, if you can track those, that would be great. And thank you for taking care of the waiting room as well as our host.
My pleasure, always. Thank you.
Okay, so wow, the kidneys, absolutely, they are an important building block. And I was saying today, like these sessions, the Human Miracle sessions, are sessions that are also educational for me. I mean, I get the essence of what I am to communicate and what the session is about, but very little by the way of preparation. And I have learned to trust and show up with deep gratitude to my friend Catherine, who was instrumental
Mynoo, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, got it.
Thank you.
So kidneys are but they are an important building block of the human miracle. And I'm going to be talking about the 4 pillars. They are considered to be an elimination organ. They are an integral part of our organ systems. In the Human Miracle series, I have been talking about, can everyone hear me clearly or not?
You're breaking up just a tiny bit here and there, Mynoo.
Okay, so let me get on.
Your frozen screen now. Let's see.
Is this
Okay,
clear now?
yeah, you're back. Froze for a minute there, so I think we might be okay now.
Okay, so let's begin again. So the kidneys are an important building block of our human miracle. Today's session is a session where my guidance is to share it on Facebook Live, but also to just simply show up and allow these 4 pillars to be built right there as we are all engaging with it. So kidneys are a part of our organ systems. In the Human Miracle series, I've talked about that we have 3 systems. We have flow systems, organ systems, and life force systems. Flow systems are systems where there is a flow that is enabled by that system. So we have the circulatory system, the lymphatic system. Also, the connective tissue becomes a part of the flow system. As does the endocrine system becomes a part of the flow system. And organ systems are systems that have got a collection of organs. So the digestive system has a collection of organs, excretory system has a collection of organs, reproductive system has a collection of organs. Kidneys are a part of the excretory or the elimination system. So they are a part of our organ systems. Life force system, just for the purposes of completion, are systems that enable the movement of life force or prana or chi, as it is often called. So the chakra systems, the meridian point systems, they are all a part of those, of the life force systems. The nadi channels that they talk about in Ayurveda are very much a part of the life force systems. Our field, which has the different layers of our body, which is beyond just the physical body, play a very important role as a part of our life force systems. So, and every system is interrelated, they are definitely connected, and they support one another. Disease, when it originates, always originates in the circulatory system. It lodges itself in organs that are weakened. Organ systems are weakened by emotional distress that is not processed ideally at the time of distress, or it is just not processed. It's left there. So this whole idea of let it be, let's just let it be. Let it go. It doesn't go anywhere. It just goes and lodges itself into the organ that is linked to that emotion. So I go into, well, it hasn't gone anywhere. So let's get into this space where we can unconditionally accept all that is, that allows you to be in the face of whatever it is that you may have experienced, and gives permission to your organs to release that emotional distress that they may be weighed down by. So this is just a foundation upon which I'm building the Human Miracle series. So the kidneys. Now, the thing to remember is, so organ systems are depleted by emotional distress. The thing to remember is that every organ has an originating intent. And in its originating intent, it has the power to rebuild itself. And where does that power to rebuild itself come from? It comes from this ongoing cycle of cellular refurbishment, where cells die, new cells are born, and cells die, new cells are born. That happens. Now, what I read somewhere, this is not something that's been downloaded to me, it doesn't feel wrong, but I read somewhere that our entire body, every cell in our body, is completely refurbished in a duration of around 9 months. So not only the human form gets formed in 9 months at the time of gestation, it also is ongoingly restoring and resurrecting itself. I've also shared in the Human Miracle series that we are made up of 124 trillion cells. So with these 124 trillion cells, we have an opportunity to know that vast majority of these 124 trillion cells are freshly birthed. So they're quite new and quite fresh, which means they are aware of their originating intent. So if we have a freshly birthed kidney cell, it will know the originating intent of the kidneys. A freshly birthed nerve cell knows the originating intent of the nervous system. We are focusing on the kidney, so I'm not going to talk about the originating intent of each of the organs. I'm going to focus my attention on the kidneys today. So what happens? So my question to myself was, okay, I get it. They are freshly birthed and they are new, and they are very much in the space of the originating intent. Then why don't we automatically recover and restore ourselves from any form of disease? Why does disease linger on? And that is where the revelation of we as a human being are a full spectrum being. And as a full spectrum being, we have 6 cylinders that contribute to our full spectrum well-being: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental. And when we start thriving with conscious awareness across these 6 cylinders, we ongoingly replenish our full spectrum well-being. So what happens is, when it comes to organs that have been depleted and new fresh cells are born that rebuild that organ, the physical side is completely refurbished. However, your mental, which is to do with your thoughts and beliefs, or emotional, may still have baggage from the past. It may have, like the mental will, often we say that, I suffer from kidney disease, or, I'm diabetic. So we've given ourselves these thoughts that have converted into beliefs, and therefore they're starting to form very much a part of our own declaration of our own identity. So as a result, when the cells are reborn, though physically they may be fresh, your thoughts and beliefs remained programmed in the form of vibrations. When we experience an emotional distress, and that has that emotion impacts the kidneys or impacts your heart, depending on what emotion it is, then, and we don't do anything about, releasing that distress and coming back to zero base, then when the new cells are formed or birthed or related to that particular organ, they automatically start to program the physical cells that have been birthed. And that is what propagates disease ongoingly. Now, there are situations where there may be an injury, a physical injury that requires repair, or there may be a growth of a tumor or something, or a cancerous growth. Those sort of things require attention. And when the organ upon which this injury exists the organ upon which this growth exists, when that organ returns to its originating intent, its vibration completely shifts. And then its terrain becomes very uncomfortable for this growth, whether it is cancerous or non-cancerous or any other form of growth. The terrain becomes uncomfortable, and whatever that additional growth is starts to disintegrate and disappear. I'm not a medical doctor, so, I'm just sharing what is coming through me here. And whatever I share, I implement on myself. And in this Human Miracle series, I'm seeing I've gone through a whole journey of personal reinvention. I don't even look the same. And Dea, you know me because you met me before all of this began. I just don't even look the same.
You don't. That's for sure. You've transformed quite a few times.
I know. So I've gone through this. It's what is happening in the Human Miracle series. I'm able to actually put these things together. Aha, this is what was going on there. Oh, this is what was going on there. And I'm able to, share this transmission and also share real experiences of implementing it, even though each of these is a transmission. So let's come to the kidneys. And this is where the first pillar comes in. The first pillar is really about the innate vibration. The innate vibration of our kidneys is what forms this pillar of emotional strength. And it is that emotional building block, which is absolutely essential for the human miracle. So the originating intent of the kidneys is to bring flow. The originating intent upon which the Creator created the kidneys is to bring flow. They are a very powerful filtration system. And they are deeply enriching. So therefore, what is it that depletes the strength of the kidneys? What emotion or emotional reactions deplete this strength of the kidneys, which takes them away from their innate vibration of flow? Now, if it is anger that you are unable to express, there's anger, which is a reactive anger, and you aggressively express that. Those kind of anger situations or reactions and those kind of things actually impact the liver. Kidneys themselves are impacted by anger that we feel, but we cannot express it for whatever reason. Look, there is no cannot. We choose not, right? However, the anger in that takes the kidneys away from their originating intent of flow is one where the choose not completely turns into a form of helplessness where we feel we just can't. Like for me, I was in my first relationship, my marriage, the childhood sweetheart who I got married to, and when he started this domestic violence from the first year of marriage, he had huge anger issues prior to that. But he never got physical. And I just felt, okay, he's had some challenges growing up and I'm just going to support him. With all my love, all of this is going to disappear. And okay, the emotional outburst that he had when he would get angry before we got married turned into physical outbursts. And there were physical outbursts where whatever he was going through within himself, he would hit me and he would somehow make me believe that I was making him do this. And I actually believed it, that I was doing it. Until several years went by. And actually, it was really after my son was born, which is like 7 years into the marriage is when my son was. So for 7 years, I truly believed that maybe if only I wasn't as successful as I've become in my career. Maybe, but I mean, I knew that the part of me did not want to give up my career because I was afraid that I would become completely dependent on him, and that would be pretty awful. So I would like hold myself back. I would really not express everything that was being accomplished. But my work suddenly became quite attractive to the media. So even though I refused being on radio shows and TV shows, and I only did a few of them seldomly, the press would publish my points of view quite consistently. And it was after my son was born when I realized that there was no reason at all for him to continue. And I wasn't causing anything whatsoever. This line of his, which made me believe that I was making him do this, just didn't hold any strength at all. That is when my kidney-related anger stepped in. It was anger that I could not express.
And Mynoo, like the word for me that comes up is like that sheer frustration energy. Is that part of the kidney too? Because you can't flow,
Yeah.
you're frustrated, you can't express it.
Absolutely. It's that deep sense of frustration. But you can have frustration because you're not able to, like frustration because I can't lose weight or whatever. That's different. It is frustration because you just can't express yourself. It comes this far and it just doesn't go any further than that. And of course, with that also lies deep sense of fear, huge regret that is there. And in my case, I would also have a nice little dollop of guilt and a lot of toppings of shame, because there I am, out there being this corporate high flyer, coming home being beaten up just because the lentil wasn't warm enough type thing. It was like ridiculous, and I am totally grateful for everything that this amazing soul being that made a soul agreement to put me through this so that I could really be free and be doing what I'm doing now. So I'm deeply grateful for that, all of that to occur. And I'm able to look back and analyze, aha, that is where this thing came in,
Right.
So it really, I mean, I connect with the guy now because, we share grandchildren and we do share a child, even though my child is not that excited about, connecting with him, but we do share grandchildren. So I do have that connection. Just letting you all know that that's only because I've really understood there's so much learning that I have gotten from that experience, which I just would not have had if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through. It also means, the frustration when it comes, and see, when you have this kidney-related anger, which is initially directed at someone else, liver-related angers are always directed at other people, right? Kidney-related one is directed at other people, but that frustration is directed at you. So you literally, the intensity is so strong. And because you're not able to express it out, you express it inwards, and that weakens the kidneys and weakens the kidneys. And like, what have I done to deserve this? Why can't I just get over myself? Type thing. Someone come save me. And I had people coming in who noticed that this was off. Nobody knew that he was hitting me. People only noticed that I just put on thicker and thicker layers of makeup. And sometimes I just felt I wanted to wear glasses. That's all that people knew. So, but I'm sure people sensed it as well, because people who were really close to me did sometimes say, we are here for you. You can share with us what's happening and we can support you. But I would like totally deny that. That was all the shame part directed at me. But this is the key thing to remember. Major depleter of this first pillar. It's like this piece where we disconnect from the originating intent is like corroding and corroding and corroding this pillar.
Yeah, it's like it eats you up inside. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Except it is eating up the kidneys. So their filtration doesn't work really well. They become more prone to kidney stones. I had severe issues of my kidneys always getting, having some kidney stone issue or the other. But fortunately, because my mother had been so ill and taken so many medications and had become even iller as a result of that, we just did not take medication. So I would somehow suffer through the stone experience and allow it to release itself. It was not easy. And it happened quite often. And it has totally stopped. Literally, it has totally stopped from October 2010 that I don't have the stone issues anymore because I've worked through these pillars, you know? So thank you for asking that question. And it's an important one for most people. And thank you for sharing your perspective on this as well, the frustration part, because it allowed me to clarify that whilst the anger is directed at someone else, the frustration is directed at you. It's as if you've taken a knife or a dagger and you're stabbing your kidneys again and again. But at that moment, you feel so helpless. You don't know what to do. The good news is, because of 124 trillion cells being rebirthed, being new cells being birthed, every cell of the kidney is birthed with the originating intent intact. So the remembrance is there. If you've got a lot of energy signatures of this emotional distress, then that, like a cloud, is the terrain in which the new cells get birthed. The good news is it takes a while for these cells to actually take on that programming. So you have a window in which you can process this emotional distress out and get that originating intent back or flow. There is lots of stuff that we have talked about in the Human Miracle series, like water, washes away the debris, brings flow. So if a very powerful way, when you're dealing with a particular person or a particular life experience or a life situation, like, I do this work with college students, the program is called Flow, which is all about building them as flourishing leaders of the world. And one of the students was sharing that during the COVID times, he had 3 of the members of his family. He was locked up because he had COVID, and his parents and grandparents, his grandparents also got COVID. So he first blamed himself for having infected them. And then when he recovered, his parents started going into COVID and his grandparents died. And so he was like, he came out only to have these bodies leaving his home. And then as the bodies left home, when, whatever the vehicle was that came to take these bodies had so many others. I mean, this thing was like just imprinted in him. The experience of seeing that. And then there's several friends that he lost because they couldn't arrange oxygen in time. Those kind of situations that we all heard about and some of us experienced ourselves. And then to emerge out of COVID with just he and his father sitting on the dining table. And before that, they were a family of 7 that would sit around. Now, that is so imprinted in him. So the way to work with when you have a situation like this, and he says, oh, it's okay, I've just let it go and I'm fine now. But I just don't feel anything, even if somebody tells me about a news of someone dying, it just doesn't affect me anymore. So that feels a little awkward because it affects my friendships. It wasn't just that. I mean, his kidneys were under tremendous pressure. And you could see it on his face, there was toxicity buildup. And by the way, Dare, you will recall, when you knew me from before, I had lots of pigmentation on my face.
Yes, a lot.
Remember that? And that's the kidneys speaking through our faces. It is very much in your face. The kidneys is in your face. It shows up in the face. So how do you work with this? How do you return to that originating intent? Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is the power tool that supports you with this one. Once you get it, just acknowledge everything that you experience about it, everything that you feel about it, everything that you ever felt. Sometimes with kidney-related issues, because they have been buried so much, when I ask people to acknowledge, and I experience that myself, I refuse to think about whatever had happened in my marriage. It was like I moved on. I moved on. It doesn't affect me anymore. But spirit guidance was, at that point, you will recall, dear, I was in Bali and I had that infection on my right ankle, which was not going, right? And really in my intuitive guidance was, kidneys are the ones that are going to support you. And then my kidneys were under so much distress. So it was like, I just had to stay with this thing. So initially I began with a lot of appreciation with everything that I had gotten from this amazing man who, fell in love with me and really wrapped me up in that beautiful love and romance. And we got married, and the experiences that I had, and this amazing son that I got as a result of that. And everything that has emerged from having Sai as my son. So I acknowledged all of that. Positive stuff is what came out from me. And then it was like, okay, do you unconditionally accept all of the positivity of this man? I could not unconditionally accept that because I knew there were many things that were not positive. I could not say the word to myself, I unconditionally accept. I just said, I accept and I'm grateful. This is one of my early days of silence. I had 3 days where I had to get to a point of releasing my kidneys of this pressure. And so I thought, okay, what else is there to acknowledge? And then specific incidents emerged of his flare-ups, which led to physical violence. And then there was a whole collection of, why did he do this? What did I do to make him want to, create this kind of a scene or a drama? And then all these whys started to. So with the acknowledgement tool, you're not processing anything. You're not attempting to answer anything. You're just allowing whatever is surfacing to surface.
Mynoo, I noticed that a lot of people, instead of acknowledging what is, they go in the loop of why is this, why, and it just goes on, and it's a loop, and it makes them sick, and yeah.
Yeah, totally. Hey, and when these whys started surfacing, I was like, I want to know this. I mean, like, it was very cliched, stupid stuff. Like, we were both working. I make dinner. I would come home early and make dinner. And then he would come in, and I'm having a shower. And before I come downstairs, and we're going to have dinner together. And the lentil isn't warm enough. I would throw it on the wall. The wall is wallpapered in London, And it's like, oh my God, this turmeric on this wallpaper. What's going to happen now? And I would get beaten up for that. Like, really, really cliched, stupid stuff. Right? So then when the whys started appearing, it was like, this is nothing to do with the deep emotional hurt he's had. This is just being cruel type thing, So fortunately, I was following my intuitive guidance. So it was like, okay, all I have to do is acknowledge. But then this stuff started surfacing. All of this stuff started surfacing. And I just kept acknowledging and acknowledging and acknowledging until there was nothing left to acknowledge. And then I was able to declare, I unconditionally accept all that is. That was the release of my kidneys. The stone formations that I had a propensity for just stopped. The kidneys returned to their originating intent of flow. And the discoloration that I had, almost all of my shin had discolored because of this infection. that started to change color. So I knew something fundamental had shifted. This pillar restored its integrity. This is the good news, because vast majority of our cells, of our kidneys, and every organ actually are fresh. If you can remove the emotional pressure, or which actually has a direct impact on your mental stuff, mental thoughts and beliefs, it actually restores very rapidly, very rapidly. Then you can support yourself physically a little bit more, having an ACV, like a tablespoon of ACV first thing in the morning with water. I don't have it just by itself. Great. It just makes sure that and if there is any stone formation anywhere in my body, it becomes softened and it can be released. You can do all of those things.
Mynoo,
Yes.
there's a question to you from Mamina. She's
Mina,
asking,
Mina.
Mina, unconditionally accepting means accept that it happened to me? Question mark. Like what?
Yes. Unconditionally accepting is, okay, it all happened to me and I played my part, an equal part. It's not that people don't get upset or angry. It doesn't land that way anymore with me. I'm not just someone to receive it. So the frustration part that I had, which I was not able to express, was not about him. That was about me. So when we have this kind of anger, kidney anger issues, it is both ways. You are as angry, which shows up as frustration about yourself, as you are angry in terms of serious upset about the others. So unconditional acceptance is accepting all of it. I played my part and it occurred to me. It happened. Accept. Let's go to the second pillar. The second pillar was the exciting news. So my thing was that, okay, I got this in time, right? But my body was really showing, I had pigmentation pretty much, it showed on my face, but it had started to spread as well. I had these blotches of pigmentation on my back, on my arms. It was starting to really spread. So the second pillar is the third kidney. And the third kidney discovery, I'm sure it has been talked about and written about. I haven't done Google search enough to know about this. The third kidney is actually the largest, one of the largest organs we have in our body, which is the skin. Our skin is an elimination organ as much as it is an absorption organ. And we already sort of know that with the sweating that happens and the sweat glands. But skin is beyond just sweat. Skin is your third kidney. So if your kidney has been damaged quite a lot due to this extended period of emotional distress being held in place and all forms of physical stuff that you may have done to it, be it through medication or dialysis or anything that sometimes puts additional pressure on the kidneys, you can, and knowing that new cells are birthed all the time, what the kidneys require, the two kidneys that what they require is a little bit of space to be able to restore themselves. So, but kidneys are the way in which your blood gets purified. Why do they suggest dialysis? Because, for them, it's like, if the kidneys are not removing the toxins, then your body gets excess toxins. So how do you give that relief to your kidneys so that they can return to their originating intent, you have to activate another elimination system, which also is a filtration system like the kidneys. It is your skin. So what depletes the skin as an elimination organ? It is the feeding of toxins that may come through your skin products. It can come through environmental pollution. The originating intent of the skin is holding integrity in place. So the depletion occurs by us feeding it toxins. How do you get, and we've got used to a certain lifestyle that also applies to how we look, so let's just unconditionally accept all of that. Suddenly to, give up all makeup and everything when you're so used to it, it's not practical to even expect that. So let's just unconditionally accept all of that. And from time to time, give space and relaxation to your two kidneys by activating the third kidney. So the skin is like a toggle switch. It's an absorption organ, and it automatically eliminates through sweating. For it to become your third kidney and operate as a third kidney full on, it requires to be activated. So how do you activate it? You activate it by using a combination of water and gravity. Because elimination of the skin and heat, water, heat, and gravity. So this is where when you can immerse yourself in a tub of hot water where the water is just above your nipples, if you like, just above your nipples to that extent. And you are sitting in a right angle position. So that allows the gravity to take hold. Water, you would want to get it to be at between 38 to 40 degrees centigrade. So it's pretty hot. You can use one of those COVID thermometers, the one that they used to put in front of our foreheads to get the temperature, to measure the heat of the water. And you'll find a way in which you can immerse yourself in this water for at least 1 hour at a stretch. And in a day, you will do it for 2 hours. It is this that activates your kidneys, your third kidney. So, clearly you're not going to do this every day, but you could do it once a week to support your kidneys. And if you've got a kidney issue, then you do it every day. Within 3 days, you will notice your kidney health markers change. I have seen this happen actually with hundreds of people. To know that, yes, skin is the third kidney. It requires activation to operate as a full-on kidney.
Wow.
And it can be done. It's pretty awesome. Once a week, in the West, we have tubs. We just don't use it in this way. Once a week, just do this. Allow your kidneys, because when kidney is the only organ that is all about flow. Its innate vibration is flow. So when you have this system, this amazing toxin filtration system that is in flow, you will be humming and thriving. And when you don't have toxicity, you have life force moving beautifully through your life force systems. Your circulatory system also starts to recalibrate, because the kidneys recover and restore themselves.
Mynoo?
Yes.
I have heard, that's new to me, to soak for an hour. How about 20 minutes in a tub, because it gets cold after a little bit, the hot water.
You will need to keep replenishing it. So it takes a little bit of effort there, right? It is so worth it though.
How about a hot tub? That sounds easier.
Hot tub, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you know Merav, right? You know Merav. She's a mutual friend. So
Yes.
Merav built a day spa in Bali. And I shared this with her. So she's got hot tubs in her day spa. And they're all at 40 degrees.
Okay.
You know, so it's and they're all natural. So there's nothing that is added as chlorine or anything into it. So it's pretty cool to be able to do it as a hot tub if you can actually build a hot tub. If you can't and you have a bath, you do that, you know. Now there is another way in which you could do it, but it doesn't activate the kidney as well. When you're when you're putting yourself in a bathtub, your kidneys are actually, the gravity is supporting your kidneys to release and relax, you know? And so that has that added support. You can, if you do not have a hot tub, dip your legs all the way until your knees in that 40-degree temperature. It's difficult to do it for more than half an hour, and I would not recommend you do it more than half an hour because your second heart, and we're going to do a whole session on the heart, is in your calf muscles. So having that level of heat more than half an hour in, you know, with your second heart is actually, it'll really make you feel dizzy. It's not that great.
Okay.
So I would not use that method to activate the kidneys. Look, this is an SOS treatment. If you've got a situation, work with this, find a way.
Okay. Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna take a jacuzzi or a hot tub once a week.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what I do, listen, 1 hour in a super hot water is difficult. Even 20 minutes is tough. So what I do is I use that time to do some pretty phenomenal visualizations. I take different areas of my life and I just turn the volume up. And I turn the whole volume, like a knob. I imagine like I have a volume knob and I have an image knob, and it's just going to, I turn it and then it becomes all very clear and colorful and real and all of that. So that allows that 1 hour to go by.
How about how about a hot sauna? Do you need the water or can the sauna work as well?
You know, it's the gravity. Water is what brings flow. Because when the kidneys are eliminating, you're in the water. The water is taking it out, getting that toxin out of your system. Water as an element brings flow. So infrared sauna does help, absolutely. You could follow that up with a steam room. I just know that this method really does activate the kidney. Everything else will support it. But for you to give that space to your kidneys so that any of this emotional distress and any toxic buildup or anything can be released so the kidneys can really benefit from these fresh new cells, this hot water immersion with gravity is really brilliant.
Okay, so my question, and somebody else also I'm sure has this question. If you can only do 20 or 30 minutes, I'm sure that's going to be helpful, correct?
To begin with, you know,
Yes.
ideally you would do at least an hour.
Oh my God, an hour.
This is, I'm not saying go have a good bath and, you know, support your kidney. I'm saying, you know, you're actually really giving your kidneys the space to restore themselves so that they don't have to be the filtration organ. No, they don't need to. They have a whole day to restore themselves. Your skin becomes that.
And then on an empty stomach, Nina says hot water immersions should be done on an empty stomach.
No, not necessarily. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I mean, you really won't feel that great in your tummy to do it. If you don't, it doesn't have to be empty stomach, but if you've eaten half an hour prior, that's great. Make sure that the close by, because when you get very hot, Again, just you'll feel like glugging down water. Don't glug it down. Have a sip at a time. That's all. Get it back.
And how about Mary mentioned that she's the biomat at 104 degrees, using a biomat to move the energy.
It is moving the energy. It's great. I'm saying third kidney activation, which is which is a little bit focused on the kidney. Biomat is brilliant. All of these things really help you release toxins from your body. And that may be enough for most of us, who are healthy. If you've got, like I did have a kidney issue, I would every few months have this kidney stone problem, which is awful, excruciating. So when I took it on, I was like, I'm just going to deal with this. It's not going to continue. I mean, now I have months where I don't even have access to a tub. So I don't do it. It's fine because I've restored, the originating intent of vast majority of my kidney is very much intact. This is an SOS solution. Save our soul solution.
Okay, SOS sounds good. And then also maintenance.
Then,
sounds
yeah.
like we can do it as maintenance for less time. It's because it's good for our kidneys.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
The third pillar is heat modulation pillar. So here in the second one, I've said gravity, water, heat. In the third pillar, modulating your heat. So really supporting your kidneys with lots and lots of blood and oxygen. Blood carries with it all forms of minerals. Oxygen really enables that pH balance, which is so important for this amazing kidneys filtration system to work beautifully. The way to do this is very simple. It is that band of cold, a cold band. So if you take a cold band of cloth, basically, so about 3 meters of cloth, and you dip it in coolish water, tap water, doesn't need to be anything colder than that. Squeeze it out nicely and wrap it where your navel is in the center of that cloth. So the cloth will be quite thick and it's about this folded up 3-4 times. So it has got quite 4 or 5 layers, this thing, this wide, and you wrap it around. Now what that is doing is it is cold. The temperature inside your body is hot. So when you wrap it around, blood gushes in very fast into that area to balance the temperature. So when the blood gushes in, there's a tourniquet effect that is automatically applied. So any little growths here and there starts to disintegrate. And the blood carries with it oxygen and minerals. And that supports the kidneys as much as it supports all of the organs in that cavity. All of your digestive organs, your spleen, all of those are beautifully serviced. Now, what that happens is we've got several elimination organs. Liver also is an elimination organ, as are our intestines, as are our kidneys, as is the skin, as I've talked about. So when you're doing this wrapping of this cold wrap, and it's cool wrap, not cold wrap, cool wrap around that region, all of the elimination organs are supported. So when your body must eliminate toxins, pH balance has to be maintained at a particular level. Otherwise, very, very rapidly, your bones and your muscles and tissues start to corrode. So as a result, minerals sometimes are pulled from other parts of the body to make that happen. Or other elimination organs take on the pressure and the load. This way, you're supporting all of the elimination organs. They all start to restore themselves because they are so beautifully nourished because of the blood going in. That also supports the kidneys from holding on to this unnecessary pressure. And that enables a wonderful purification to take place at a physiological level. The fourth pillar is the love, kindness, and compassion pillar. And this is, it's important to know where the kidneys are, because you're going to use the power and the ability that naturally resides in your hands to channel the healing light from inside your body and from the outside, and cosmic healing light, and direct them to the kidneys. So where are our kidneys? If you just make a fist, thumb inside and make a fist, okay? And I'm just going to stand up, and you put your fist like that. This is where the kidney. You're not going up, down, nothing. We're just going like this. This is where the kidney. You got it?
Is that like mid to lower back?
Yeah, yeah. So you're literally you're not moving a hand up or down. You're just going where they naturally rest. That's where the kidneys are. So what I do sometimes when I'm in a meditation, I would feel where my kidneys are by just connecting to them. So I've connected. Then I just take my hands like this, and I'll just put them at the back. You know, and as I'm breathing in and breathing out, I find it easier to do standing up. This thing, I might just take 5 minutes with its beautiful 584 megahertz Om chant playing, and I'm just allowing my kidneys to receive this beautiful healing light that is coming in from the back of my palms and going into my kidneys. And with every breath, I breathe into my kidneys love, kindness, and compassion. And I breathe out gratitude. And I anchor peace. So I breathe in love, kindness, and compassion. And I breathe out gratitude and peace. I sometimes put the alarm for 5 minutes. It's up to you. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe a lot, holding your hands like this. You decide, you build up to it. It doesn't have to be more than 5 minutes. Kidneys are very sensitive organs, extremely sensitive. They are about flow. So if you just visualize water flowing, you can just put a tiny little whiff of a branch, the water's flow will be interrupted. It'll find its way around it, but it will be interrupted. Kidneys are like that, really delicate, but it also means that they so want to keep you in flow that when you give them just that little bit of love, kindness, and compassion energetically, and you do some of this other stuff to restore that emotional strength, they will keep you flowing. There's quite a lot you can do in terms of supporting yourself with foods as well. Kidney-shaped foods in the form of soups and stews, ideally sprouted, are really beautiful, you know? So I'm not going to talk about food today. I just wanted to focus on these pillars. So over to you, Dea, to conclude our session.
Oh my gosh, that was so rich with so much information, and I learned a lot today about my kidneys. So I'm just going to recap. I know some people came in a little late. The first pillar that Mynoo spoke of is the innate vibration and the intent of our kidneys, which is to bring flow, and it's a filtration system. And she talked about the importance of all of that, and how anger, really the kidney holds this anger, a frustrated anger, unexpressed anger that we have. And then all the different ways that we hold that with guilt and shame and that kind of thing. And the second pillar there's something she called the third kidney. And I really haven't heard about that. It's the skin, our largest organ, the skin, and how important the skin is in our elimination that works with our other two kidneys to eliminate. So that was wonderful. And then the third pillar that she spoke of was heat modulation and the different ways we can sort of treat ourselves to just really contain the energy and the blood oxygen levels through heat in a bathtub.
No, that was the second pillar. The second, second activated.
Oh, that was the second pillar. Oops.
The
Well,
third one is really about purification.
the
It is
third
about
was
cold band.
filtration and purification. That was the cold band. The second pillar, she gave us the hot tub and the sauna and the different things we can do, but mostly immersing yourself in the water. And then the final pillar, which I always love because it's such a great self-healing practice. We use our own hands and we place them there and we just do that beautiful breathe in love, kindness, and compassion, and breathe out gratitude and peace. So with all of that, there's just so much richness, Mynoo. I think we all really appreciate you so much, and the transmission was extraordinary today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so deeply grateful to show up and allow myself to receive and share it. Very privileged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
Morning.
Thank you, Mynoo.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.